Hello, everyone. It's my face. I wanted to do a wrap up for the last video of Jamuary to explain the gear I used to do Jamuary and thank everybody for listening who did. That was crazy. I didn't expect anybody to listen. So, those of you who did, thank you. That was awesome. Where to start off with this ridiculous rig? Um, I think the thing to say is that the intention of January for me was to at least get 30 videos out. That's up from I think 4, 5, 6 videos I did last year. I'm not sure I'm going to do January again. It was an extremely productive and I think an extremely useful activity, musical activity for me to force me to create music. Not all of it is awesome, but I would say half of it is going to show up on an album that I'm going to put on Bandcamp because I think that is it's worthy. I think as a set, those 15 are enjoyable enough that I'm going to foist it on people. The other ones were helpful for me to do, but I think ultimately they didn't really, they don't fall above sort of core standards at Taskboy Music. So why did I come up with this rig? That's a good question. What is this rig? Well, this rig, as you may recall, here I'm gonna use my mobile cam here. My rig consists. Let's go start off with the drums. My mobile rig consists of this TR6S from Roland, which is a great drum box unit. It's not the cheapest drum box unit. It's not the most expensive. It's not full of awesome virtual analog goodness. It's not entirely a sampler, but it's a wonderful performance tool. Those faders are outstanding for taking a 4-bar loop and building something awesome on the fly as you desire. It takes a little practice to get used to it, but manipulating the faders. But I think it's awesome. I still have like a giant amount to learn on this thing. I did tweak the individual patches at times, so we got a little, sometimes too much. I detuned the drums so much that I can't hear the drums on one song on an iPad because it's too low. In fact, I can't even hear it on my my upstairs monitors, the Yamaha HS 5s. I can't get enough free bass response out of them to really hear the kick on that one. So that's a mistake for you kids at home. Or that's the fun. You're just like, no, you need a subwoofer to listen to this. Okay, anyway. So then the next thing is, I'll try to hold it steady, but then my years of steady cam is, the next thing is this good old Micro Monster 2 from, I want to say Audio Things. I think that's the name. It is a great unit. I'm not going to do gear reviews. That's not my jam. It is a featureful, compact, dual timbral synthesizer, digital synthesizer. I'm going to put this down because it's hurting my arm now. Let's give you an interesting. Whoops, my keyboard's on. It's a digital synthesizer, two timbre, two layers to it. It's got a pretty decent filter, I have to say. I got a lot of mileage out of the filter on this, playing with the filter. It's got decent effects on it, decent stereo, reverb, and delay. You can find units that are, well, we're going to talk about a unit that's got even more effects on it right next to it, the Lemon Drop. But I think for about $300, $400, it's a pretty competent unit. Now, a lot of people like this unit. It's got a lot of presets that are just fabulous right out of the box. I tweaked a little going forward with some of these things. I have a huge problem with the user interface. I think it's fine for what I did, which is twiddling the low pass filter and basically a meta knob there. They call the M, the modulation, the one modulation knob. I always found selecting patches awkward, really awkward. painfully awkward as if I didn't do it for a whole month, I wouldn't have remembered how to do it. I really wanted a program change button. So that's just me. Other people get along with this; they don't have that problem. I'm going to go over another synth that's in this mix that people hate the user interface on, and I adore it's amazing to me. It fits my brain super well. The Micro Monster does not. I'm not saying you shouldn't get it because it may fit your brain, and it does sound great, and it's affordable. I think pretty affordable for when you're, it's two Volcas, the price of two Volcas. Volcas are great. There's videos of me playing with the Volcas, and I've heard YouTubers do simply stunning things with just the Volcas, not even external sequencers, just the internal sequencers, which was amazing. Anyway, so the Micro Monster, good sounds, not quite my cup of tea for user interface reasons, and but a solid construction. I don't want to knock it. It's a decent synthesizer, just not for me. All right, so we'll go to the second one that is for me. Woohoo! The good old 1010 Music Lemon Drop. Oh, the nano box. No. So that unit, whoa, is a granulator synthesizer. So it takes two samples, and you can kind of see the top and the bottom one there, and it makes micro samples inside of each one. It plays back each micro sample somewhat randomly or according to an internal sequencer. And it comes with many effects, but you can only have two effects going at the same time, two banks of effects. And but those effects are just wonderful stereo awesomeness, and you can actually use, and I have used this unit as an effects unit for the Volcas, for instance. Great unit. Again, some people. Oh, and it's got this the cool, which you saw me play with. Oh, that's the note mode. Fun. I don't think you can. I don't think it has an internal sequencer for notes. Note sequencer is like different kind of sequencer that I don't. Whoops. Ooh, that I don't use that much and don't understand. So it's got an XY pad here, which is fun. I use that quite a bit. That's fun during performance. It's got live recording capabilities, which I never use. I love the Lemon Drop. There. I don't necessarily, probably not getting the Fireball anytime soon. The Fireball is a wavetable synth, and the wavetable, there's just other units that are for that amount of money. It's about $500 for $400 to $500. That probably are more interesting to me. And frankly, I bought Vital for $8. All right, excuse me, $8. $80, the professional one. Vital is a VST, and super way beyond what the Fireball does. So Fireball's hardware, so you get knobs. Why hardware versus software? The eternal question. For me, it comes down to user interface. Just when I'm playing with it, playing with hardware, and I get to twiddle knobs while I'm performing. That's what hardware's for. Otherwise, if I'm just sort of composing stuff and I'm already in a DAW, then I really prefer VSTs. So I don't like to live in a world where it's, do you use software or hardware? No, for me, it's both. Oftentimes I'll record with hardware too, in a DAW, but doing a longer term project, we're going to open and close and work on it over time. There's no doubt that software VSTs are much easier to deal with. Anyway, so yes, Lemon Drop, strong recommendation, and the Lemon Drop is the biggest surprise of Jamuary. So if you've used a Lemon Drop, you've probably heard the sound. Oh, even these guys, right? Oh, big pad, big stereo pad, and great for ambient stuff. But what surprised me was I got both lead sounds out of it, which I wasn't too surprised to get. Like, there has a couple of good horn patches on it, but I also got some awesome bass out of it, which that wasn't on my bingo card. So yeah, the Lemon Drop is a capable little unit, and not just for sort of spacey pads. Um, I don't know that it does like a key patch super well, like, oh, I'm going to play piano patch. I mean, it probably could. There isn't one that comes sort of preloaded. I don't know that a piano patch is a granulator synth sweet spot. So your mileage may vary, but I think there are other tools I'd reach for if I'm like, oh, I want to have an E piano. I wouldn't necessarily go with that. All right, what I might go with instead is the reigning champion of my favorite tools in January and in general. Let's move this over. Oh yeah, baby, the Dreadbox Nymphs. I can't shut up about this. People who know me know that I can't shut up about the Nymphs. The Nymphs is an incredible synthesizer. It sounds wonderful. Oh, let's just look at it. Oh, there's no user interface. No, there's no display on it, but there's a user interface, and it's all sliders, baby. It's a pretty thin, it's a pretty shallow menu dive. Barely a menu dive. I've got an actual shift button here. Oh, a shift button. It's actually labeled shift. Oh, that's good. And it's got the, it's reverse. It's a reverse video display, so you can tell that anything's reverse video on here. That's what the shift button is for. It's not super hard. I would quibble. I would have put this is to get to the envelope generator. The VCA envelope generator is a shift function. I would have swapped that with the filter, but I clearly don't use the voltage control filters envelopes as much as some people do. I know you can do fun things with the envelope generator on low pass filters and high pass filters, but clearly I'm too primitive to do that. But the filter on this is crazy. You heard it many times. Anytime you heard a whale sound, that was coming from the Nymphs, and me playing with both the low pass filter and the resonance. It's a resonant low pass filter. Yeah, it does it's not it's like all analog gear. It doesn't have an infinite palette. It actually it does have a pretty good selection of drum noises, which I recorded for a different song on SoundCloud. The Highway Tryst uses I sampled the Nymphs and used that as drums, and that was fun. But just super warm. What does it sound like, Joe? Well, it sounds like what's it sound like? It actually doesn't sound like this. Why doesn't it sound like this? Well, woohoo! The reason it doesn't sound solely like this is the Nymphs is awesome, but the Nymphs comes out in mono. It's just a mono thing, and it comes with I think, a underwhelming built-in reverb, which I invariably shut off, or at least I intend to shut off. Sometimes I forget to, and it makes weird noises. Sounds like you're at a submarine. So the Nymphs is fantastic, but the Nymphs needed a little help. So to do the help that it needed was some outboard gear. So in back of here, I have my pedal board, my crappy pedal board that I put together from a leftover shelf and Velcro, because I am cheap. And yes, that's right. It's the Amazon Basics compressor. Why? Because it works great. Is it the best compressor on the market? No. Is it worth like $20, $30? Oh yeah, it's fantastic. And I think I've got a noise gate too. I think from Donner, which was another like $20. Every guitar should have at least a noise gate and a compressor. A full stop. If you're playing electric guitar, please get those. Spend the $60. Just do that. Even before your distortion pedals, you get those. You get your compression and noise gate game together with electric guitar. You are more than halfway to a good tone. Learn to play with them. Learn where the sweet spot for your rig is. And yeah, there you go. There's the cheapy clone. It's fine. It's great. Works great. Is it magic? No. Is it useful? Yes. Donner Fuzz. Again, I don't think I paid more. I think the most expensive pedal on here was, the most expensive pedal was the Reverb, which I'll get to in a sec. The Stylish Fuzz, not bad. Not a bad fuzz pedal. Not super magical for me. I'm not necessarily a huge fuzz guy, but it's useful to have. There's another super cheapy distortion pedal. The Horse. Oh, Horse high gain distortion. It's roughly like, to my ears, my primitive ears, it's kind of like the Boss distortion pedal, pretty much. That sounds to me very similar, but someone will say, no, it's actually it's a soft clipper, it's a hard clipper. I don't know. Then this is of my pedals. This guy right here, the Joyo California sound, is meant to sound like a Mesa Boogie amp. It doesn't sound like a Mesa Boogie amp, but it's kind of close-ish. So for guitar sounds, it's just great. I feel like I can just plug this rig right into a speaker, and it gives me everything that I expect out of a guitar amp. That's me. I use this particularly to help the nymphs with EQ. So I was tweaking the EQ a fair amount during this. Sometimes I would warm up, so compression was always on. Sometimes I would warm it or fuzz up the sound with one of these distortions, but usually not even. But this guy was always on as well. And sometimes I'd use a little overdrive on the California for the bits, but not that often. And then finally, sort of the magical reverb that I have is the Echo Verb. The Echo Verb is both a digital delay, which is on the left. The controls are on the left. Those 4 on the knobs on the left are for digital delay, and the 4 knobs on the right are for, I guess I should say, the cluster of the 2x2 matrix of knobs on the left are for delay, and the 2x2 matrix on the right are for the reverb. And there's that toggle that switches between something. I think it's basically the toggle that's on the left is the sort of shorter sounds, shorter time scale sounds, and then the ones on the right are the longer ones, and the ones and the one in the middle is for middle-y sounds. Anyway, and all hooked up to a very terrible, the cheapest isolated. I don't think it's isolated power that I could get for these things. So if a JHS Pedals is watching this, please don't judge me. I know this is you said don't do this. You're just going to blow up my pedals, but I'm looking at a loss that I can walk away from. But this whole rig, by the way, is less than that one Neve pedal he put out, that the color box. The color box looks cool. I'm not trying to denigrate that, but I'm not paying $500 for a pedal. I don't think I've paid that much for I paid that much for one mixer, which is what I'm going to get to in a second, but it's a digital mixer. The Echo Verb is good. It was $70, $80, something like that on Amazon. Is it worth that much money? It was interesting. It's an interesting pedal. It's not the most versatile. It's not the most versatile delay. It's not the most versatile reverb. It is stereo, though. Stereo out on that. So that's pretty good. So that's the other reason I went from mono. I have a mono synth here, and then I basically faked out the stereo bit by going through the Echo Verb, right? So let's see what... Oh, yeah, I got both of these guys off right now, but if I crank up these things... So usually I cut the bass down a little on the nymphs because it's a little bass heavy. How bass heavy, you say? All right, well, we'll take the makeup off. It's not too bad. Bypass that. Not bad. I prefer a little color there. Just putting an ARP together here. Hold on. Need 2 hands. I want a slower ARP so we can hear it. There we go. ARP, thanks to that guy. What would I do with that ARP? You just kick up the resonant, you get the whale sounds. Maybe kick up the EG, the envelope generator. Anyway, that can go on for hours. Take that off. Take the hold off on that. So anyway, yeah, that was So again, this giant rig, all for this guy, and then these other three didn't need the help. That's sort of pathetic. But also some fun. I had some fun with it. I love the nymphs. I love the tactile feel of it. It reminds me, it's very garage, as in 70s, 80s garage band fun. So I do. That's the most valuable player of any rig that I have is the nymphs. I just adore it. All right, and then finally, and kind of the newest member of the team, the Taskboy Music team, is the 1010 Music Blue Box. The Blue Box is a digital mixer. It is it can do its inputs, as people know, or 6 TRS inputs. That means it can do stereo, or in this case, it can do mono too inputs. And I ran all the gear through this because it also comes with a series of effects. It comes with not the project effects; those are fun effects. So it comes with two effects loops of a delay and reverb, and the reverb, although you don't get a choice of different styles like room reverb, chamber reverb, all the rest of it. At least I don't think you do. You do get control, kind of granular controls over the timing aspects of it, which is very helpful. So reverb here, pre delay. I don't know what freeze does. Anyway, high cut, low cut. Those are very good. So these effects can be applied per track. So again, if I look at the track here, you can probably read that. I tried to mirror keep myself sane. It reads left to right. So again, my TRS, which is over there, the Micro Monster, Lemon Drop, Nymphs. It's the same order on the Blue Box. And if you're doing this at home, please just make your life easy. And by the way, it's the same here. I'll use the other cameras. It's the same here. So that's the pew, drum machine, micro MM2, the Lemon Drop, and the Nymphs, which I know it's upside down and hard to read, but it's still left to right here. I'll give you this view of it. It's still left to right. So there you go. There, everything's left to right. Fun times. So, what worked well? As I said, that the Nymphs did bass lead and pads and keys. Whenever I needed that, it was all up to the Nymphs. A lot of times I try to use presets, but I always tweak presets. And the reason I do that, the folks that make presets spend a lot of time with these units, and they often the presets introduce you to concepts that you may not have figured out that your synth can do. So sometimes I encourage you to start with a preset and tweak it, or break the preset. That'll also teach you a little something about how your system works. All of these. And then I had janky cameras. That's part of the aesthetic. I called it part of the aesthetic, but that's just because I'm lazy and cheap. Let's show you one of the two main. So one of the web cameras is focused on the KeyStep Pro. Yeah, that's another part of the gear. Let me just finish with the music gear, and then we'll get to the janky camera stuff because it's a joke. Okay. The big controller and the brains of the unit was the KeyStep Pro, the Arturia KeyStep Pro, as seen throughout SynthTube. Whoa. It's a I don't know how many. It's a 1, 2, 3, a 3-octave key bed, and it has a built-in 4-track sequencer. Here, we'll just nice, the long view. And I love the sequencer on it. It's easy to use. It fits my brain pretty well. I like the Launchpad Pro Mach 3 as well. But when I want to play stuff, I wanted a keyboard interface, particularly for chords. When I'm doing chords, it's hard for me right now to think about chords on the Launchpad Pro. But the Keystep Pro, I actually hooked up the loop pop pedal here, woo, for sustain. Now, unfortunately, the Keystep Pro doesn't have a jack for expression. I would have loved that because I really wanted to use the slider. Oh, the slider, so nice. So we're gonna put it right there. Oh, the slider. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That would have been nice to use with the slider, but the slider does nothing. The only thing I got out of this was the button for sustain. So here. So I took my, can you see? If I put my finger there, if I take it off, it goes away. But if I press the button down, I get sustain. And I do like sustain. But that pedal was not the most valuable player. It was the least valuable player. I think it's a good the loop pop thing is a good pedal, a good tool. It doesn't pair, for me, doesn't pair super well with the Arturia gear. I know more work is needed for me to find a home for this, useful home for it. All right. Was there anything to say for the Arturia? The Arturia, I got to play around much more with different patterns and switch. You saw me switching between patterns. I see the button that says scenes. So I should have, I could have had more sophisticated arrangements if I actually grouped the patterns into scenes and then switch between scenes, which is what the Launchpad Pro can do as well. I'm a lunkhead and I didn't do that. And I kind of thought that having the flexibility of switching between patterns on the fly, although it complicated my life during the recording, gave me some more arranger space to do arranging live, which was the fun part for me. So that's why the compositions were a little on the simple side, and I was hoping to kind of have that live feeling of making the arrangement up as I recorded it. So maybe that was successful sometimes and not as successful other times as one would expect. Okay, so the janky webcam crap. Okay, so here's one of the webcams. Oh boy, Joe, did you spend thousands of dollars on this webcam? No, I spent $8 for a bag of 4 for these webcams, and they are USB webcams. I think they can only do can they do 640? I don't even think they do 640. Maybe they do. They've got no depth, no. They're very, very limited in their use. They can read QR codes, which is why I bought them. I mean, they don't, but they're strong enough that if you hold up a QR code within a couple of feet of it, you can get a clear enough picture that you can process that with a Raspberry Pi, but that's a different story. And that's why I have. So I used it because I'm like, I wanted a 2-camera setup. They're both kind of jerky, crappy cameras, but having the two views was interesting. You're like, well, what about the view you're using with this guy? Well, this is my phone, and I was having trouble getting the phone to work with it originally. And I basically wanted to have all the cameras just sort of set up and running. So for all of January, you'll have to forgive me, Planet Earth, but I had all the equipment on. I didn't turn off, including the Mac I'm recording this on. It just made it much easier. Oh, the audio interface for those people who want to continue to make fun of my parsimonious gear. It's my son's Focusrite Scarlett 4i4. I still think it's a great unit. If I didn't get this unit, I might have. If I didn't have this one floating around, and I didn't want to break apart my studio upstairs, which I don't, I probably would have picked up the Behringer, which is essentially the similar 4 input, I think 4 output too, audio unit for like $100. I like the Scarletts; they work for me. I appreciate that there are folks for whom the Scarletts they are at the stage where the Scarletts show their audio limitations. I haven't run into that problem. I've been doing music for a long time, decades, but I haven't been doing it professionally for decades. So sure, there may be places where the noise floor is too. I don't hear a high noise floor on these units. If you're hearing noise right now, it's because I'm in a basement and my furnace turned on. It's not the Scarlett. So I'm glad this popped up an emoji. Anyway, so that's the gear. That's the things I liked about the gear. I don't think I talked about the blue box nearly enough. Um, the blue box really was very interesting to go through. So if I just so the again, I could let me just start with. I'll start with the nymphs. I was already on the nymphs. So the nymphs. Let's get a sound that's fine. Now, do I have any kind? So I still have. Let's turn off. Oh, yeah, it's off anyway. But I'm going to make sure we're not. The echo verb is off. I think the built-in reverb is still on. So let's go turn the reverb off on the nymphs. So first I go into menu mode. I can't see that because of the glare. I go to number 3. It's so janky and fun. I go to number 3. That means I'm on reverb mode. So now, yeah, that's the mix on the reverb. That shuts off the mix. So I'm shutting off the mix on the reverb. I could make it really here. Let's just do a little maximal reverb. I think the echo verb is still giving us a stereo image, so it's cheating. It sounds worse than this, but it's still pretty bad. All right, so I've shut off the reverb. So now what we can do is we can go back to blue box, bonk, and FX1. I don't know. It'd be nice if they just labeled them, but FX1 is delay. So let's change that over. See if we get some delay going. There's our good friend. Not crazy. Fine. Let's bring in the reverb. So that's on the other side. Again, I find the interface on the 1010s great because so we're looking at this 4x4 box. It's actually only got 3 knobs, but that's 1, 2, and 3. Those are the 3 knobs. So if I switch positions, 1, 2, 3, those I don't know. The buttons map to the UI pretty well, so I never had a problem. All right, so let's crank up the reverb. Reverb, lots of fun. But again, it's per track, so it's very helpful. There are times where I threw the reverb on for drums or whatever, and I use the blue box effects. I found that very helpful rather than having yet more outboard gear to handle that insanity. Awesome sauce. So, and then the recording is happening with good old UBS. So there's plenty of tutorials on that. I'm not going to go through. I'll try to, for the entertainment of you all, I'll try to put together a little song here so you don't feel totally cheated. I'll try to move this over to emulate what I had. Ooh. There we go. Yeah. Well, that's great. You never saw that in the shot because of the way it was set up before, but that's the thing on the overhead camera. I'm not going to talk during this because it's hard for me to talk and create music. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just mute myself and we'll listen to a little music right now. Thanks for coming by. Can I mute myself? It's a good question. Thanks very much.